early. And this dog jump out, I'm gonna really have to get it. Oh, they fighting. It's a dog down the block trying to get in on it. He can't even be heard over there, but he didn't care. You gotta get it in. Now, what's up, Sir T? Sincerely made the live. Good morning. Shalom, my brother. The brothers are on a quest every day for self-improvement. Gotta take care of the temple. The body is the temple. Gotta do that. Now, Dame Dash, Rockefeller CEO, has grown tired, completely tired of all the backlashes, right? All of the iniquities and the games that's being played. See, what people don't realize is they're ultimately playing a game. And this game is gonna, pretty much put them out of business. The way things are going. Now, here's the scenarios. I want you to get it and understand the gist of it, really. Dame Dash, in case you've been under a rock, was Jay-Z, him, Biggs. They own Rockefeller Records. In like 2003, they were nearing the end of their run of being together, business-wise. Companies was being split up. Guys are going in their own way, right? So that's been over 20 years ago. And people still saying and spreading narratives. And Dame Dash is pointing it out because he's saying, like, y'all are not picking up on this. And why are these guys doing that? That even if Dame Dash was going through a financial crisis that was something he could never recover from, why are y'all spreading the narrative? That's one thing that he would definitely not like or appreciate. For example, right? When politicians run against their opposition, they normally have a popular catchphrase or disorganized union. This is disorganized unrest. And you will hear that word pop out of the mouths of like every single reporter, and they all start saying the same thing. If you listen to the Diddy trial, you start seeing them say the same things over and over. This is unrest syndrome. This is, like, I took a shot of the drink and I got woozy. It's all amazing that they took a drink and they felt woozy. All of you? So, okay. And they all have the same answers. right? And it gets to a point where it gets ridiculously repetitive. So, here's the narrative. That they keep spreading about Damon Dash. Damon Dash is broke. Ha 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 ha. That's the commonality, right? That's the commonality every time. Damon Dash is broke. Ha 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 ha. It's a big joke. Why is that a joke that a man doesn't have any money or he's gone broke? That is the narrative to their standards. Meanwhile, this man is still doing business deals. I seen Cameron get upset with Dame because he said he made Cam. Cam like, yo man, you ain't never make me. Yo, you know what I'm saying? You just stop hustling. Now, come on. Yo, don't use me for your narratives. Yo, you ain't make me, dog. We did good business together. Till it wasn't good no more. But you ain't make me, bruh. Now, when he said Dame forgot to stop hustling, that pissed Dame off. Because one thing Dame Dash is gonna do to the day he die is hustle. And he ain't never gonna stop doing that. Now, does he have detractors? Yeah, he's Dame Dash. A lot of people, he's Dame Dash and F you. And that mentality don't go over well with people. He have temper tantrums. People working with him sue him. Everybody suing him, want to take him to court for every little thing that pops up. This is the narrative. This is what we're surrounded with now. Like, I don't even know why he would speak on Mace. Because Dame Dash really had no business with Mace. None. That's why Murder don't really talk about him. Because it's like, I never really had no business with Dame. Not really. Jay was. He was talking about multiple people on Imaginary Place. Wasn't just Mace. Mace was the most notable. But the whole narrative is this, right? That a lot of people played. I'm going to tell you why. Right? Fat Joe came out talking about how bad he feel for Dame, and I feel bad for Dame, man, and all he going through. And then him and Fat Joe have words. Then Memphis Bleak talking about how he feel bad for Dame, and talks about Dame again in like 2 interviews. He's talking about Dame and how bad he feels for Dame. You got Jermaine Dupri, who waits till the cameras turn on to say, man, I feel bad, what's happening to you? You know, it's like everybody all of a sudden is feeling so bad for Dame, but it's doing nothing to help Dame. It's like if you feel, and that's a Dame, it's like, dog, if you feel bad for me, say, man, I feel bad for you. Here, take this. Hey, man, I feel bad for you. Here, take that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't getting none of that. And why is it none of that? Why is everyone that you know pushing this narrative to where you don't grow? Why is everyone pushing a scenario and where you're submerged down? Why is everyone running this script? It's simple, as we're going to talk about on the Patreon, but it's very simple. All of these people are morons. They had these self-bred agendas implanted in their brains, and they go off that narrative, and that narrative alone. What the hell's wrong with my watch? $500? Man, lost their goddamn mind. Oh, they just screwed me over. That's something to say. I'm on for 3,000. Easy. Glad this thing is keeping up. 3,000. Did a couple of steps in this morning. So now, let's get to the gist of everything, right? Because I be wanting people to understand why certain scenarios are happening to them. Now, here's why Dame's situation is so unique. See, Dame Dash's situation is unique because they don't care. The care is gone. So once the care is gone out of the scenario and situation, people just have no more respect because there's nothing there they feel to respect. They have no opinions about anything that has any revelation to anything. They're staying connected to Jay. Anytime Dame tries to do something that's massive, here comes someone else to try to knock it down. You know what I'm saying? You ever see those people? Whenever you do something iconic or unique, here they come to knock it down. Now, Memphis Bleak is someone who is living solely off of what Jay-Z provided for him. Everything Bleak has done has pretty much failed. Record label, Jay gave him that. Hove gave him that. He failed. He got with Dame to try to get an extra bag. Failed. Everything he does and all he knows how to be is a good soldier. You need somebody to be a good soldier for you? That's him. He the Tony Yayo. Jay got Memphis Bleak. Fifth got Tony Yayo. But the difference between Tony Yayo and Bleak, that if Fifth ain't around, Tony still know how to go out and get the bag. Tony don't find a hustle. Tony Yayo is interesting. He has his own personality. You called him the hype man. He was hyped, period, for all of it. That's why Tony is what he is. Tony Yayo will always be iconic, mainly for those reasons alone. He stayed in the streets, stayed in the game, didn't change up. Now you say Bleak put out a lot more independent albums. Yeah, but they all were wood. They didn't go nowhere. What money did Memphis Bleak make for Rockefeller? Every song he got that was even charted, Jay-Z either wrote it or gave it to him. Is that your chick? Was Jay-Z's song by himself. And if you go on to the actual page, like if you go onto all the actual page of what's going on, you will start to see where it measures up. Is That Your Chick is his biggest song. And that's Jay-Z's song. So all your biggest records came from Hov. Dame exposed what we already knew. Jay was writing your earlier stuff. Then he was like, I'm too busy. Like, I knew you were using words that you would never use. Because I was like, man, this Bleak dude is on a whole nother level. Like, dude, most people don't know what a mesor is. I'm like, how do Bleak know that? Coming from where he come from. I heard that in his verses, and I was like, oh, Jay gotta be writing for him. Because that sounds like something Jay would say, but not Bleak. In the middle of the war, rocking a vest, somebody illest shorty alive, I confess. Everything coming from the brain, coming from the heart. I liked all the flow pattern, everything was Jay. Then when Bleak write, he got songs like, let's get high. Every day we smoke weed, we get low. Let's get high. That's his whole thing, getting high. Get your mind right. Jay-Z song. You know, here we go again. We circling the same old wagon, right? We keep circling the same wagon, same drain. And why do we keep circling the drain? Because we're coming around the same question over and over again, right? The answer remains to be a question. Why do they keep doing this? What's up with these narratives? What's going on with these certain breaks in the action? Why are they doing this? Why? Because they can. They're doing it to protect allegiances to Rock Nation. Fat Joe did that because of his allegiance to Jay-Z and Rock Nation. Whenever Dame is getting anything positively written about him, or he's making a move, all of a sudden, here come this, I feel sorry for Dame. He just can't seem to get right. And every week, there's a new person spreading this narrative. Until I see Dame Dash in the alley with a cup, shaking it for money. And then it's the narrative going around that. Why don't you ask Jay-Z for money? Why don't Jay just give him some money? That's the other narrative. That they want him to have to come to Jay. So Jay could be like, heard you having some tax problems, man. You know, I can help you out with that. You know, but you have to come humble yourself first. And then I could see what I could do for you. It's like, what? So, that's where the narratives took you. That's where the narratives took all of these people. So they became stuck and drunk off their own illusion. They tried to pretend as and act as if. Now, when you act as if you're doing this, you act as if this is important. You acting as if this is the end all be all, right? You're lying to yourself. Now, the next question comes in. Why would you want to lie to yourself? Why would you want to keep yourself down? What is the motivation? There's nothing behind it. When Jay-Z's schedule became busy, he could no longer write for Bleak. And it became, all right, Bleak, I'll write you a song, but the rest is on you. You got to do it now on your own. It's up to you. So it became up to him. And he never thought about the consequences. Why he don't do business with Biggs? Big signed with Jay. You ever meet somebody who's a hustler, but they was only a hustler because they were plugs with the connect? I knew that person front line and center. the nephew. His uncle was the man. You know what I'm saying? But he was the nephew. And he knew the connect dude. So for the street game, you had to go through the nephew to get to the main guy. So everybody was cool with the nephew. Nephew blew his knee out playing football. So he just became this big 6'7" fat dude who was big. Had the Cadillac Escalade truck. Used to step out, big 300 something pound, walking around, neck big like Mike Tyson. And he was intimidating. But in the real life walk of things, he was nothing. His uncle, who was about 6'1", 245, you know, chiseled, worked out every day. He was the man. But the big nephew pretend like he was that guy. But when things went left, that's when he left. You see? Things changed. They went legit. Now, in the legit walk of life, he doesn't know this game. He doesn't know the boardroom. Let's sit down with this executive. Let's talk to these producers. Let's get these people to the table. He's like, well, this ain't my world. Why can't we do the transaction? I just get a bag. That's what he wanted. He wanted somebody to do that for him. He wanted somebody else to do the work, and he gets paid off the work. That's what he wanted. You do the work. I get paid off the work. That's what he wanted. But what could he provide? So now he donated the money for Rockefeller Records, but the everyday walk of business, Dame took care of that. Biggs just sat back and ate. He really didn't have anything to do. This is how you get busted at the airport, trying to smoke weed. The Arab cats came through with a different involvement. Their involvement came at a price. And when you have people that do things that come at a price, we all know the results of that. So like I tell you, with Dame, those type of successes were going to be generated by somebody who conduct business on both ends. Jay-Z's success is prominent of other people doing business for him, but he's taking the credit for it. Before it was Dame, then it was Steve Stout, now it's Live Nation. They making the moves. What business move of Jay has been successful? Was Tidal successful? Failure. Ace of Spades was not Jay-Z's. Ace of Spades had a partner. Jay-Z just came on in as an investor. And he did a deal that's not really a good deal. An everyday walk of things. He has no control, no ownership. The Renault family, they the ones can make all the decisions and shut it down whenever they feel like it. The Beyonce brand is the only reason we know of Jay-Z today. It's because of his connection with Beyonce. His attachment to Beyonce and the fact that they love Beyonce, they were able to deal with Jay-Z. Jay-Z did not ever have a European tour, ever. You go to certain parts of this country, they wouldn't even know who Jay-Z was. It wasn't for Beyonce. Jay-Z filmed videos in St. Thomas. He filmed videos in Italy, Spain, Morocco. He been all over the place filming videos. Why he ain't do a tour there? Why Jay didn't have these European tours? Because he wasn't big international. They didn't know how to market him internationally. That's why 50 Cent is a bigger worldwide artist than Jay-Z. They know of 50 Cent in all these places because they remember when 50 came there and did a tour. And they went and saw the 50 Cent show. So he's a bigger international artist than Jay-Z. That's why 50 can wake up right now and be like, I'm going to go on a European tour. They go, oh, the 50. Yeah, come on, 50. And he's getting all these big bags. And they're going, damn. How 50 getting that? This is 50. Who is bigger in America? Jay-Z or 50 Cent? Well, let's see. Who sold more records in America then? 50 Cent or Jay-Z? You just seen Hov more, but then you really haven't. But like he was selling 2 million records. Jay-Z was 4 or 5 albums in before 50 Cent dropped his debut. His biggest selling album to date was Hard Knock Life. The biggest single he had was back in '98 until the New York song with Alicia Keys, which is two versions. It's a whole version that don't really have Jay-Z on it at all. That's how much they didn't really like Jay-Z. Alicia Keys got one with just her singing on it. And there's no Jay-Z on the record at all. And I think that version was on her album, if I'm not mistaken. I am from New York. This is where the city. Well, Jay-Z says a whole bunch of nothing for the whole song. But if that's y'all anthem, New York, then go ahead and keep it. I know everybody like, that's not an anthem, bro. I never listened to that joint. But to go on internet saying how bad you feel for Dame, but you ain't doing nothing for Dame. It's like, dog, come on. If you really felt bad for me and you my guy and you got my number, it ain't like a fan saying that. But they're creating the narrative of poor Dame. Poor Dame. Now that'll make people don't even want to do business with him. Like, oh, he has nothing going on. He needs to ask Jay-Z for money. You see, they want to put that out there to embarrass him because Dame wouldn't sell his Rockefeller shares to Jay-Z. So that's what this is about. This is a pissing contest, y'all. Y'all got to read between the lines. He wants to humiliate Dame Dash because of what he did with the shares of Rockefeller. How he held on to it for as long as he did and put him through that. It's like, okay, you wanted to play games with me. You wanted to run me around circles to get my reasonable doubt. All right. So that's what this is about. And then all these fools who keep going out saying this, these narratives of I feel sorry for Dame, I feel sorry for Dame. Dame is telling, yo, I don't need Jay-Z's money. Stop telling me what I need to do for myself. If a man keeps saying they don't need help, leave him alone. When that girl who was doing crack that was on the doggone in the house with LL Cool J, and LL Cool J offered to help her and said, hey, get in contact with me, I got you. A lot of people don't see it that way. No, a lot of people don't see it the way y'all see it. And that's the problem. Everybody wants people to see things their way through their lens. No, most people don't look at it that way. This is all due to that reasonable doubt. You know, he wanted to just own it, like outright. Big sold him his shares, so he was all good. Like Dame would have been all good had he just sold the shares over to Jay. And Biggs was the one that was holding it up when Dame wasn't the one who wanted to sell it at first. But because he had that, he could use it and take loans off of it and use it as leverage to do other business deals. Because he used it as collateral, and its worth because of Jay would be worth something. But see, you got to understand that they remade reasonable doubt. So once it does that, the original, you know, so you're not really gonna make a lot of money off of the reasonable doubt because it's been remade and remastered. Jay-Z redid it and put it out and added more songs to it and made a new version, but it was really a re-release. It's not really re-recorded songs. They just digitally tried to clean it up a little bit, but they added some new, like 2 new tracks to it. It has a whole new app, thing. But the original is what everybody looks up to. He didn't re-record it. He just re-released it. So it's not a Taylor Swift situation where they redo the album when they re-record it. Well, they ain't do things for a reason. So if he says I don't know them, it's for a reason. Mm-mm. 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 No. So just for embarrassing, Jay is petty like that. Jay-Z is a petty individual. So if you're a petty individual, what would be the biggest punishment for somebody who's petty? Right? This. Well, it all depends on what do you feel is the best scenario for the results that you want to get. Because you can't have both. Dame can't have it both ways. He wanted both ways, but he can't. You can't talk about people being chatty patty, But then you chatty pattying every day now, So it's like you was late to the party and you was calling it chatty patty. Now you see everybody who you deemed as credible doing it, and you're like, okay, well, maybe it ain't chatty patty. Maybe this is the new business. I got to get involved. But he didn't come from this world, so I understand it. Like his opinions or how he's opinionated, or how he feel about it. But in total reality, well, when you have support and you have real support, you have real people behind you, they get involved and they do things. When you don't have real support, it shows, it reflects. And in this game, you got to have relationships and you got to have support. And if you don't have relationships and you don't have support, you got a ton of detractors trying to pull you down 24/7 because they don't want to see you succeed. And success to them is eating on their levels, their scales, what have you, right? I never saw it that way. I never saw like I don't see things in the way that the rest of the world might see it. You know, I see it for what it is. I don't get caught by the distractions. That's how I can tell what what his real reasoning for doing things are. His real reasoning for doing it was to humiliate Dame Dash. That was his purpose. Like that. He didn't want to do anything else but humiliate him by having people put out the notion that Jay need to pay him money.
'94, all for your winner by unanimous decision from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Well, when I'm mad about the decision, you cool with it how it goes. It's the fight game. it's only so much people could really do. You know, that's what we talk about with scenarios. People who have different takes, different scenarios, and you know, it's Dame. Dame got to make a decision to make a change. So it's all on Dame Dash, man. But I'm gonna get up out of here. It's time to lay it down. Peace.